those nights, and it went in depth, to the family, the relationship of the families in the 50s. There are certain things that I want to talk about related to that movie, and what if things were not like that and we would have the mafia here today. Well, Frank Costello and Vito Genovese knew each other since a young age. But that little rabbit, that little midget, Vito Genovese, went to Italy and stayed there for a while. At the same time that Frank was becoming boss of all bosses. Old already. These are old dudes. The mafia still, it's operating at its peak after bootlegging and Capone. When they, became political, thanks to Frank Castellano or Castellano Costello. So the midget comes back, fucking midget. The midget comes back from Italy wanting the power and influence of Frank Costello. And everybody warned him, including Frank, that the way he does things now, like Lucky Luciano, the previous capo, no, not the previous capo, the previous boss of all bosses, was not going to work in current time. He comes back, starts getting aggressive, wants more money, wants his lifestyle, his turf back, and all the families experience severe hardship, leading to the first exposure of the family via Vito Genovese in court and his wife, Anna Genovese. What happened in court? Well, he wanted to pinch her bar before getting married. Anna Genovese had a bar, and that's where Vito wanted, that was his safe house, his fun house. But after having difficulty in their relationship, Vito started pinching Anna's cash register, and that led to a major backlash in court. You got a member of a family that used to be a boss in court, and the families did nothing about it. You know what my opinion on the matter is, right? Hold on. Let me see if you guys can hear my computer. Let me open this shit up right here. My opinion on the matter is on that one, right? That just watching the movie and seeing Frank Costello do nothing about Vito, it's like, yo, Frank, hold on. I got him. You know what I mean? Quickly, quickly. It's like, oh, his wife's not dead? Hold on. Like that, his wife too, both of them, for putting Frank Costello on the newspaper. And he was the capo di tutti, the boss of all bosses, the leader of a nationwide mafia organization. This man exposed the family. Frank didn't do anything. He waited. He had a Senate hearing. Before that, after Frank's initial court hearing, all the bosses were brought into the Senate, or the local bosses, not the national, the ones in New York, all pled the fifth, including Vito. Just pled the fifth. Frank, being known by everybody, had to talk. And he left the hearing after they mentioned a relationship with with a senator that turned a mayor, and a relationship or an exchange that happened when a previous boss of one of the families was about to be captured and sent to jail. So Frank pulled the strings to stop a boss from going to jail on a previous incident. And on that Senate hearing, they questioned his power along members of the Senate and new mayors of the city. Now, right there, Frank also violated Omerta, right, after talking. But by then, Vito shouldn't have been on the map. Vito should have been wiped clean off the map. They should have been killed all the way down to Italy. Genovese should have not been a last name that's left. It should have been a last name that barely 40 people have over there in rural Italy. Not a household last name. That shit should have been with Frank Costello. The last name should have been eradicated off the map. But Frank let it slide because Frank was the diplomat. I went to jail, and guess what? Frank shoots him. Who shoots him is Vincent Chin Gigante, a mobster from New York, or a boss from New York that had encounters with Bumpy Williams. Frank Lucas was around. Everyone knows the coke dealer, the dope dealer, Frank Lucas, right? So Bumpy, the guy he was driving around, was having problems with dope from France in Bumpy in Harlem. So that guy shoots, misses. Luckily, Costello had a fucking back of the head like steel. The bullet goes bing and slides off his dome. The 22 didn't do nothing to him, or whatever the fuck he was shooting at. So Frank told the family, yo, tell Chin to get caught and I'll testify against him in court that it wasn't him. So Chin walks away after shooting in the head the boss of all bosses and not lethally killing him. After that, Frank wants to retire. He wants to leave the family. He's the boss of all bosses. So he sends a huge murderer, Anastasia. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Anastasia. Anastasia was the leader of Murder Inc. in the mafia. Basically, a ruthless motherfucker. And that was his protection. That was Frank's protection back then. So he told him, right? Frank told Anastasia that he put in the word for you to be boss of all bosses. That the next successor to him with the Frank, when he retired and left to wherever the fuck he was gonna leave, was gonna be Anastasia. And they heard about that meeting, and they killed Anastasia in a barbershop. The families heard that those two were having a conversation. He told Anastasia to go to Cuba. The day that he was going to Cuba, he goes to the barbershop, and in the barbershop, they slay him. So after that, they continued, having the problem. So Frank set up a meeting in Albany, upstate, to get all the mafia members involved, everybody, nationwide meeting to pass the baton to Vito, right? You know, two outcomes could have happened on that meeting, like I just said. He could have just been passing the baton, kissing rings, right? Kissing rings in the finger, doing the all the stuff in front of everybody, or he could have just denounced Vito right there. If it would have been me, I would be denouncing Vito in front of the whole commission, in front of everybody. Be like, this man put my fucking face on a newspaper. And now he think he want to be the boss of all bosses. Have everybody look at him. And Gambino ready to strangle him and shit. Because Gambino was undoubtedly the family after the Mangano. Anastasia was the head of the Mangano family, which then turned to Gambino. So from killing Anastasia, Mangano, Gambino there already, right, on that meeting, Frank could have had a choice to tell it all and be like, no, get that midget out of here, Get that midget out of here now. Put my face on a newspaper. Had to stand in front of Congress, etc. So instead of doing that, he sets up the meeting. Everybody goes to Albany. Frank is old and slow. Takes his time, gets stressed, gets on the road late, says, oh, there's apples. Let's go get some of these apples in harvest on a roadside shop, right? Like a farm, like those stores people have in front of their houses selling whatever they got in the homestead. So he stops, and at the same time, somebody from Illinois, who was it in Illinois that called? Somebody from Illinois called that a liquor smuggling person that was smuggling liquor to Canada was headed to some big party there. So the cops go there to look at license plates. And when the son of that smuggler sees the cops looking with binoculars at the 50 cars parked in the house, all the mobsters run. Everyone just start running in the mud. Cars get stuck, and police write their names down and their vehicle registration, right? Tags and names, and they connect with the authorities, and the authorities go, oh, so is Frank on the group? Frank must have set this up because they already know who it is. The investigation unit was already squaring Frank away, putting him on the board, at the top. So go check if Frank is there using both of his names, Costello or his native. He was in there. He gets late. The car passes him by because he was just driving by, and he ends up arresting everybody. Everybody gets arrested after, finding out that the mafia was nationwide from that meeting. So somebody tipped him off. Frank is also guilty of omerta, but omerta by consequence, right? If I was a member of the family, understanding what is happening, the midget gotta go. The midget gotta go. Genovese gotta go. Let's go. Let's go once again, Frank. Frank, this is how this shit should have gone. That's how that shit should have gone. But it ended up the way it did. And having this information makes me feel good, you know? I like it. And it was all thanks to Robert De Niro, right? Tying many things together on that documentary. Last time I seen Robert was by the Jewish Museum back here. That's the last time, walking on the Hudson River walk down here. Last time, wearing a ultralight cream Italian suit. It was flying. It was so thin. Flying cream shirt, tan pants, leather suitcase, turned around, look at me, had a rose in his pocket. Woo! Last time I seen, and he's 82 today. I congratulate him on Instagram. Say happy belated birthday, you know, just in case. You know, and a little word about how I felt about Vito. Vito has to go. Vito had to disappear off the face of the planet, even if everybody was to go down nationwide. But the movie states that Frank and Vito went to jail together, spent a little time. He stayed in there. He got out. Frank got out. And he died peacefully in his sleep in his late 80s. But serious. And you know who got back, right? You know who got back? Gambino. From the issue with Anastasia, right? Murder Anastasia, the barbershop, and the Mangano family. Carlo Gambino and the Gambino family started taking hits on Vito Genovese while in prison. They found out. They knew what the problem was. You know, they knew that this guy had to go down, and they started taking down, you know, people on the outside while Vito was inside. So it started targeting everyone of his, you know, everybody under Genovese, bye, you know, and what had to be done since they testified and put the Capo di Tutti on the newspaper, you know, since putting Frank Costello on a newspaper over petty change from a bar. And let's go to that. Well, let's talk a little bit about how the racket works. How does the Italian racket work? Well, you gotta love people. Rackets don't work unless you have influence and love. If you go the way of the midget, Vito, you go to court quickly. You get arrested quickly. But if you do it through love and influence, you have a whole territory of cash registers you could pinch. And that's the old way. Shit, Big Joe, to snitch on him, Gambino, my family, you know, Costello, my family. Over there, still be pinching pizzerias. Yeah, hey, Big Joe's here. I go in there and grab money from the cash register. That's what Italians do. That's a thing of ours. And how do you do it? Influence only. It's not fear. It's not fear. It's muscle. It's you're on call. They need your help. You're going. Oh, help me with this. I need money. I'm broke. The lotto, the numbers, loteria, tres números, cuatro números, street lotteries. You know, that's all of it. That's all of it. But without influence and power and love, if people don't love you, you do not have a successful racket. You cannot engage in racketeering because they gotta love you. They gotta trust you enough so that when you're working, spending some dough at a pizzeria, you come in, say hello. Hey, how you doing? Press a button on the cash register. Bum. Take out some money. Don't even count it. Take what you want, $40. Put it in your front coat, close it, and walk away. And if you need a little bit more money, you go to another spot and another and another. And you pinch everybody. But to pinch everybody, You got to be strut. You got to walk. Everybody has to know. Everybody has to love you. Love, not hate. Get your wife to put you in court. Love you. You know? You got to have 80 people that knows you. 80 or more. You know? 80. Not a boss of all bosses pulling the string to get the whole country knowing you. But you got to have everybody knowing you so that when you come around, you can get that free plate of food at noon from that peculiar location. And you could be barefoot, you could be homeless, but you'll sit there and you'll be like 2 pork chops, rice, tomatoes, lettuce, avocado. Because they know you. They know you. You don't need to pay. And that's basically how the mafia operates. That's the foundation of racketeering. Without love, you being the bad guy in the beginning of The Godfather, dressed all white, begging people for their pennies, selling fruit. You got the shotgun, buddy. You get popped. Either the people you're trying to pinch get popped, or somebody knows that you are somebody that's not good. You know? Because it's something, racketeering is something that people naturally allow based on a certain level of relationships. And that's mafia. That's the Italian. That's Cosa Nostra right there. That's a thing of ours. Go. How you doing? Hey. Oh, haven't seen you in so long. Cha-ching. Thank you. Whoop. Walk. Next one. You got a few bucks. You got a little bankroll. When you got a little back, you put that money back too, right? Oh, it needs some money. I got you too on that. I got you too. It'd be like, whoop, they be counting your money. Even Frank said it. A great way to tell if you could trust people with money is give them more and see if they take what they ask for or take everything. You know? You see that, right? Right? You think you have a business role and a personal role. The business one, oh, I need some money, help me in this and that. Oh, okay, let me get $200. You pass in 400 or 500, right? And if they give you the 300, whatever they ask for back, and it's like, no, that's too much. Here's two. You got somebody. That's Frank's way, and depicted by Robert De Niro. I hope you all have a great day. Sorry if this stream is low quality. I had to use my mobile hotspot. And I think I'm done for today. Sunday is over. Peace.